Hello, friends. Welcome to LeggLife. Obviously, this is a little bit different. Normally, we are right next to each other, not just on screen, but in person. Obviously, not really the case with this video. Sherri is home in Anchorage, Alaska, and I am in Colorado Springs, Colorado, for reasons that we will disclose later.
Mhm.
Um, Sherri Beth,
Yes.
our cruise vlog series is over.
Yes.
It's done. It's finished.
Crazy.
Crazy, right?
Mhm.
We've been off the ship for over a week now, isn't it? I think
Yep.
ish.
Yep.
And one of the things we wanted to do at the end of this cruise vlog series was give like our review, not of the viewer cruise, but specifically of the Disney Magic,
The ship.
the
Yep.
ship. Now, why do we want to give a review of the ship, Sherri?
Well, because our first experience on the Magic was a little rough. It was not really up to like the Disney standard that we had become accustomed to. And so we wanted to give it another try and hope that it sort of redeemed itself.
Yeah, we were on the Disney Magic a few years ago. It was for
Mhm.
a Marvel Day at Sea, is that right?
Yep, I think so. Yep.
Marvel Day at Sea, and it was just very different than all of our other Disney cruise experiences up to that point.
Yeah.
And to the point where we were like, gosh, I don't know that we ever want to cruise on the Magic again.
Right.
However, we knew that like you can't judge something by like one experience.
Right.
And so when we had the chance to book our second viewer cruise on the Magic, we decided to take it. We thought, you know what, maybe this will be redemption for the Disney Magic. And and so we're going to talk about the service. We're going to talk about like our stateroom. We're going to talk about the food. We're going to talk about the ship itself.
Yep.
um Again, this isn't really going to be specific to like the viewer cruise. This is more ship specific.
Yes.
So Sherri, last time we were on the Disney Magic, I
Mhm.
think our biggest area that surprised us was the lack of service, because that's one of the things that Disney is known for, is this amazing customer service on
Right.
board Disney Cruise Line.
Right. And we kind of felt like almost across the board it was rough. Like
The
the
first time.
service, the standards were like very, I mean, the standard that we had known for Disney was way below or just non-existent in some cases.
So Sherri, tell me your thoughts, your experience this time on the Disney Magic when it comes to service. Did it redeem itself? Was it as bad as the first time? What do you think?
It did redeem itself, I think. So our server at dinner was phenomenal, hands down the best server we've ever had. She was fantastic, and she was actually sick 2 days, and so she wasn't even there. But like the days that she was there, like unbelievable. She was fantastic. Her assistant server was there every night, and she was fantastic. And she's new, and so that was really interesting. Like that she's kind of still in training, and like she nailed it. She was fantastic. And then our head server was really great too.
Yeah, stateroom host,
Stateroom
amazing.
host. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everybody we came in contact with, from bar staff
Yeah.
to just like around the ship. In fact, we had talked about this, and I think we both agree. In 9 Disney cruises, this was the best service we've ever had on a Disney cruise when you think about across the board. Do you
Across the
agree?
board. Yep. Yep. I would agree with that.
So, to us, the service issues we had on the Magic just a few years ago, whatever they've changed, whatever they've done, the
Yep.
team they have on board the Magic was
Great.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I was so glad about that, because to me, and we've talked about this in other videos, good service will cause you to overlook a lot of other things,
Mm-hmm.
but bad service will make even a great ship feel tarnished.
Right. And that was sort of part of the problem on our first one. We had um, kind of terrible service across the board, but then the ship itself was falling apart, and compared to the other ships that we had been on, and it it kind of still is.
Yeah, so I want to preface
Not
this by
kind of.
saying that
It fully still is.
Yes, I want to preface this by saying we learned that the Disney Magic is going into dry dock here in a matter of weeks,
Yeah, like this
um,
month.
like
Mhm.
this month. And so that's good because it really, really needs it.
Yes, there's paint peeling, there's leaks, there's electrical issues, there's, I mean, the ship itself is just hanging on by the tiniest shred of a thread.
Okay, well, I don't know that I go that far, but but I will say that one of the things that shocked me was the chandelier, like the atrium chandelier, which is a central part of every Disney cruise ship.
Right.
If you glance at it, you're like, oh, it's very pretty. When you look at it, you can see stuff like peeling off and falling off and hanging off the chandelier.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if the chandelier looks bad, that's not good.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so the Disney Magic is the oldest ship in the Disney fleet. It is
Mhm.
25 years old. The problem is that it looks 25 years old. And
Yes.
here's one of the things we were talking about with some of our friends, and this is so crazy because the Disney Wonder is like what, 1 year younger? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it feels so much newer than the Disney Magic. For whatever reason, the Magic
Mhm.
feels so much older than the Wonder.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah.
So now keeping in mind, we did go through a horrible storm. So some of the water issues, some of the things may have been compounded by that.
Yep.
However, I just feel like you're a cruise ship. And
You should be able to handle the water.
if there's one thing a ship should be able to handle, it
Right.
is water.
Right. Yeah. So there were, like you said, I mean, there's some things that are just sort of unavoidable because of the amount of rain that we got.
Yeah.
Our first full day at sea, our first full day on the ship was torrential rain all day
Totally.
long.
Yep.
And so it like, I don't know, I can understand why there's leaks and like things are just going to happen.
Yep.
But it was kind of throughout the cruise, like even after that horrible torrential rain, that there were like buckets all over the place because of leaks, and there were like,
Yeah.
I don't know, people who had to move rooms because their room was flooded, and
Yeah. Now the flooding and stuff was tied to the storm.
yes,
And so I got to say, my thought on this when it comes to weather is I don't hold Disney at fault for what happened with the weather. Disney
right.
doesn't yet control the weather. And so to me, it's like
What?
when there's bad weather. I don't even think you can be mad when the weather is so bad that there's like leaks and dripping and stuff in the ship. So it's like, to me, that's part of traveling. Like, just suck it up. You know what I mean? That's going to happen. But the things that were concerning to me were the things that clearly were not storm related. They're just like age of ship related.
Yeah, like the peeling paint on the chandelier and that kind of stuff.
Yep. And just like clearly worn parts of the carpet and
Yeah.
like veneer that has not been kept up. And it just feels dated. So
Mhm.
I don't want to keep bashing on the Disney Magic, the ship itself. So let's
Yeah.
move on to we talked about service, best we've ever had on a Disney
Yes.
cruise.
Yes.
The ship itself, she needs some help. She needs a glow up. The Disney Magic needs a glow
It needs
up.
a glow up.
Let's be very honest.
A little bit of TLC.
A little bit of TLC. Let's talk about our stateroom.
Okay.
So if
Yeah.
you guys watched the vlog, we had a sideways inside stateroom, a room that we've never had before. Sherri, go.
My new favorite, hands down.
Yes.
Okay, so I obviously love the inside staterooms because it gets so dark and I sleep so good. But this one just felt bigger. Like we had so much space, and I never felt like cramped or like I'm like wedging myself into places. Like it was fantastic.
I know. Even so, to me, this was my favorite stateroom. Maybe even more than, well, I was going to say more than the veranda room, but I don't think that's true. I still like the veranda room more. I know you don't.
It's so bright.
Exactly. I love it. But as far as any other room other than a veranda room, this would be my favorite.
Yeah.
And I can't believe it was the cheapest room on the ship.
Yeah.
And it's better than every other inside stateroom. I'm so confused how this has not like gotten out because they're so good.
It's so good. And so If you haven't actually seen our vlog, so basically you walk in and you're kind of in the center of the room. So the couch is directly in front of you, and then in the layout we had, our bed was off to the right with like the desk and the dresser and that kind of stuff, and then off to the left, and then off to the right was the bathroom and the closet. And the space between the bathroom and the closet felt wider, which may not have been, because like there's, because usually you walk in and like the door is there and then the bathroom and the closet like right there, and I just felt like we could be standing in front of the closet and still get in and out of the bathroom, which I don't feel like is really the case in the other setup.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I don't know, but no, it just felt like there's a lot more space. And then the fact that you're not walking through it every time you're going in and out of the room was really nice. Like you're never in the way if you're in front of the closet or going in and out of the bathroom, because it was off to the side.
Inside staterooms are small. They just are. And this inside stateroom never felt small. And that was one of the differences too, is that it felt like we had space, and it was just, So stateroom to me, 5 stars out of 5 stars. Like, if we're cruising, sorry, I'm sitting outside, so you guys may hear like motorcycles driving by. If we're cruising on a ship that has those rooms, and we're not staying in a veranda room because Sherri nixed it because of light, then we will be staying. In a sideways inside stateroom.
Yes, every time. Like I would book that again every other time.
As long as the word doesn't get out and everybody starts booking them.
Correct.
All right, let's talk food, because this is a big deal about cruising. We did Palo brunch. We did cabanas for breakfast. Did we ever do cabanas for lunch?
One time.
Yeah. We did a couple. We never
really ate lunch.
We didn't really eat lunch. We did the pool deck stuff. We did room service one time. Let's talk food. And okay, just so you guys know, Sherri and I have not talked about this. I have some thoughts that may not be popular.
I have thoughts.
I want to hear your thoughts first.
They did away with the pirate night menu in Hallelujah.
Now, I don't know if they've done away with it on all Disney ships or if it was just on our sail.
They did on this cruise.
Yeah.
And I am not even one tiny bit sad about it. The pirate night menu, I feel like, is always the night to skip. It's my own personal opinion. It's just not good. Like, there's nothing on the menu that I'm like, ooh, I want that. And so I'm not sad about them not having that. So
I agree.
And that was the second night we were in Rapunzel's. Is that right?
No idea.
I don't remember. But whatever menu they replaced it with was fantastic. So I'm not even a little bit sad about that.
So what else? Quality of food around the ship. Thoughts? Any other thoughts other than the pirate night menu?
Same. I think quality of the food was as good as it has been, I think. What are your thoughts?
Are you ready for my thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm getting bored.
Oh, well, it is kind of always the same menu. It's been the same menu on all 9 of our cruises.
Here's the thing. So we talk about like vacation goggles, right? How everything is better on vacation. Like food, somehow the food tastes better. The air is like crisper. The water is fresher. Like vacation goggles are a real thing.
Correct.
And I feel like the first number of cruises, it's like, oh my God, this is the best. This is the best I've ever had. This is the best this is the best that. And then after like doing it 9 times, you're kind of like, oh, this is super average. And so Palo to me is an exception, because to me, the Palo lasagna, Palo chicken parm, some of the appetizers are better than average. And again, at Palo brunch, we had, how many people did we have at Palo brunch?
9.
A lot.
9.
And so we got to have and try a lot of things, almost everything.
Yeah.
So Palo brunch was spectacular. Pretty much everything else, your tuna tartare was amazing.
Yes, it was. In fact, I was watching that video last night and it made me order poke for dinner, because I was
ordered poke because of that.
I need some more tuna in my life.
Um, I just feel like I don't feel like the food on the Magic, and I don't want you to hear me knocking the Magic on this because I think that what we had on the Magic is what we've had on every other ship. I'm just getting bored with all of it. Um, it's
Yeah,
all it's all just simply okay.
yeah. I will say the black truffle pasta per sets are going down in quality. I feel like the first few times we had them, they were some of the best things I've ever had in my life. And I feel like the last few times they've been kind of dry and overcooked or undercooked or whatever. This time I feel like they were a little bit closer to what they had been, but they still aren't as good as I remember them being. And that might be the vacation goggles. But I just feel like they used to be really good and they're sort of just not anymore.
I think it's the vacation goggles. I really do. I think it's the vacation goggles. And so that I know I thought a lot about it on this cruise because every meal was just like, yeah, that was a meal. Yeah, that was a meal. There was
Something to eat.
there was one night, and I vlog this? I don't know if I included in the vlog, where like almost nothing on the menu looked good. And so I literally ordered a cheeseburger and like macaroni and cheese off of the kids menu because I was like, I'm on vacation, and honestly, that sounds better than anything on this menu.
None of this sounds good. And you were looking at Landon and Tucker's meals and you're like, kind of want that.
I want that.
Yeah. And then there was a night that you were joking about wanting the mac and cheese and they brought you the mac and cheese.
She brought me mac and cheese.
The kids menu as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks better than kind of anything else on the menu. So she brought you a massive bowl of mac and cheese.
They were amazing. This goes back to the service. Best service we've ever had.
Yeah, you didn't even actually ask for the mac and cheese. She just overheard you talking to Landon about it, and she just brought you a giant bowl of it.
It was the best. Yeah, which goes back to the best service we've ever had.
Yeah.
Sherri, I think maybe the last we'll talk about two more things. Number one, let's talk about entertainment on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I did not go to the ventriloquist because it's not really my thing.
Okay.
I've heard that he was supposedly amazing. I don't care. Not really my thing. So I didn't go. The shows, the Rapunzel show I thought was great.
We saw Rapunzel's and Twice Charmed.
Yes.
Twice. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. And I liked it. It did feel very dated. It felt like the kind of show that they've probably been doing for 25 years. And so some of that was like, I don't know. You have these phenomenal actors and actresses on this stage, and I feel like they can do more. But I still like it. I mean, I still like going to those shows, and I feel like they're still a good value. I mean, it's still great.
There's no cost. Like it's literally included in your cruise.
It's included in the cost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we loved the magician. We saw him. Yeah, we saw him on the Fantasy in December, and I was really excited to see that he was on the ship too. He's just I don't even understand how that works, like what he does. Yeah. But it's always entertaining. So yeah. I thought the entertainment was good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I felt like the atrium person that they had was less good than we've had on other ships. Like I feel like there's a lot of times that I literally want to sit in the atrium and just listen. And I never felt like that with her.
So I'm actually glad you ended with that because that's where I was going to start. I was going to start with like there's always lots of music around the ships. And I feel like there's, a pianist here and a duo here and that kind of stuff. Now, I do want to say I missed all the evening shows in Keys, and I'm very disappointed in that because I feel like those would have been the things I enjoyed the most. So I do want to preface it by saying that. But I agree with you. The atrium and other music I heard around the ship, not like super lackluster.
Just okay.
Not
bad, but not anybody that I wanted to like spend my time on.
There have been artists we've heard on Disney ships that I instantly find and follow on Instagram. Right? And there was nobody on this.
Nope.
In fact, my favorite music of the whole ship was on St. Patrick's Day. There was like that Irish trio in O'Gills.
Right. Yeah.
That was the highlight that was the highlight of the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, I agree with you about the shows. Rapunzel's is so good. The cast was so great.
Hmm.
Um, and but yeah, I felt like the music around the ship was lacking. I do want to say that I never went to Keys, which probably is where all of the amazing music was, and I just
I
flipping
was
missed it.
there once. I think
Oh,
you were
that's
at
right.
a trivia, and us
You
girls kind of met
you
for a
girls
drink.
had a that's
Hmm.
right.
And it was good, but it still wasn't. It wasn't as good, I think, as they have been. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Um, okay, now I want to talk itinerary.
Hmm.
So this was I think I might mess this up. I think it was a Western Caribbean, maybe. We
I
sailed
think
out of maybe
technically.
we sailed out of New Orleans, had one at sea day, went to Cozumel, went to Grand Cayman, two at sea days back to New Orleans.
Hmm.
Sherry, storm aside, what'd you think of the itinerary?
Um, I really liked having 3 at sea days, even though we lost one due to the storm.
Well, we didn't really. I mean, it was
We
still
didn't
net. We
lose
didn't.
it.
We
We
didn't
like
lose
we still
it.
did obviously didn't get off the ship, but we
Yeah,
were kind of stuck inside. We couldn't enjoy
like the
like
pool deck or anything
the
like
pool
that.
deck and like the sunshine, and
Totally.
which is what I really like about at sea days is just
Mhm.
being able to sit out there and like enjoy the weather. Um, I liked both ports. We'd never been to either one of them before.
Yeah.
Um, I think that I would like to go back to Cozumel. I
Mhm.
don't know that I would care about going back to Grand Cayman.
Yeah. I.
It was
I.
nice. I did
I.
not like the tender.
Oh, that's true. You are not a tender port fan. Like you want to
I'm not
walk off
a
the
fan,
ship.
but we did the tenders in Cabo, and it was just like kind of obnoxious. Like it wasn't like I mean I want to be able to like get off the ship and be wherever we're at. And that's just because I'm high maintenance. But so like
What?
but like the tender in Cabo is just like fine, like get on the tender and go and whatever. But the tender in Grand Cayman, and I don't know if it's just that day.
That's what I was gonna say. Keep in mind,
It,
like the storm, the seas, all of that played into that.
right, right. So that we were a few days behind the storm, and maybe the seas were still just really rough. I don't know, but
Yeah.
getting on and off of that tender was horrifying. Like 8-foot waves, and like the top of the bridge that you're supposed to walk over to get back on the ship, like hitting the top of the door. um, Bad. And like I was getting super seasick just sitting on the tender waiting to get off the ship because it was literally like as the wave came down, they would like throw 2 people across and like wait for it again and throw 2 people across. And it was just like, this is horrible. And so
Just
for
so you know,
that,
they would have people safely walk across. Nobody was getting thrown. I just want to
correct. Well, and
clarify.
I mean, but that's why it was taking so long is because it was
Yeah.
literally 2 to 3 people at a time. And then they had to wait
Yeah.
for this huge wave to come back. And, ugh.
I do
So
know
for
that
that, like, I wouldn't want to get off the ship again if it was
I
even remotely like that again.
I do know that a lot of the other excursions that were water based were canceled that day because of sea. So I know that what we experienced, like that kind of has to be taken with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it was
Because that's not
probably unusual,
that's
but
unusual. But the town
ugh.
itself of what you saw, not something you'd really want to return to.
No, our friend called it brand Cayman, and I kind of agree with that. Like everywhere you look is it just looked like a mall in America. Like it didn't look like anything that like when I go to these ports, I want to see like the culture
Culture.
there, and if the culture is just a Mac store and a Victoria's Secret store and a like
Yeah.
I can get that here. So I don't know.
So I think for me, I loved 3 at Sea days. Like that was awesome. I loved Cozumel. I would go back to Cozumel in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do in Grand Cayman. I would, well, first of all, remember in Grand Cayman, we did one thing. We went to a distillery, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I think what
I
I
go
would do
back
in
there.
I think what I would do in Grand Cayman actually, because I've heard the beaches are beautiful, I think I'd take a taxi to a beach. Like,
Oh,
I think I would treat Grand Cayman as a beach day because to me, I really enjoyed like the culture of Cozumel and like the tacos we had and the margaritas we had and all that kind of stuff. And so if we had to do this trip over again, I'd
mhm.
do exactly what we did in Cozumel. And in Grand Cayman, I take a taxi and have a beach day because we went on a cruise to the Caribbean. Our toes never hit the sand,
Yeah.
and so it's like I feel like we missed that. So that's the thing that I would do differently. But yeah, I like the itinerary again. The three at sea days were my favorite though.
Yeah, they were great.
So
It's
Sherri,
nice
oh
that I just feel like with the at sea days that you can rest. And I think I said this in the vlog, like you can like go to a trivia and then take a nap and then go to an animation class and then grab some food on the pool deck and hang out. And like it's very like choose your own adventure kind of day. Like it's
yeah,
just you can be as busy or as not busy as you want to be on at sea days.
yep. So Sherri Beth, final thoughts on Disney Magic. Did it overall redeem itself? Because remember, our ranking of the Disney ships had the Magic at the very bottom when we talked about it before. Has the Magic moved up in ranking? Is it still at the bottom? Did it redeem itself? Give me your final thoughts.
Oh man. Service wise, it definitely redeemed itself. Um, I'm curious to see what all they fix when it's in dry dock because there's a lot that needs fixing. And so I'm curious for that. Like the ship itself, I would still put at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because it's falling apart. But the service was fantastic and it definitely redeemed itself on that. And if we could go back and have our same server, 100%, I'd get back on that ship.
Would you not book the Magic in the future, or would you'd sail the Magic again?
I would give it one more try because it is going into dry dock. So I would give it one more try after it comes out of dry dock and see what was fixed. But we heard that there's not a ton of cosmetic that they're doing. They're doing a lot of like the guts of the ship, which probably also desperately needs to be fixed. But like the cosmetic stuff is what the people who are paying to be there see. And yeah. I don't want to keep paying those prices if I'm going to have water dripping on me and paint peeling off. And
the ship does not feel up to Disney standards.
No.
The service was Disney standard.
Yes.
In fact, I would say every other aspect of this cruise felt up to Disney standard. Every other aspect of the cruise, except for the quality of the ship. Here's the thing. That's a big one, though.
It's a big one. And honestly, and I feel like that's kind of, I mean, along with the service, that's what you're paying these premium Disney prices for, and is for a premium experience. And it takes more than just good service to give a premium experience. So
boom. That's right. Like final thoughts. Very impressive. Oh God. Did Sherri just freeze? Did we lose Sherri?
You cut out a little bit.
Dang it! I'm back. What I said was, Sherri drop like at the end. Very impressive. So, can you hear me at all?
Yes. Yes. You're a little.
Well, maybe this is a good time to end the vlog. So, all right. You guys, the technical issues with us being like 2,500 miles away. So
correct.
Friends, thanks for watching our whole Disney Magic cruise vlog. I want to say we've had the best March in the history of our channel in every single metric, which is insane. So thank you guys so much. It's crazy. Yeah, we love you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next LeggLife video where, fingers crossed, hopefully we're back together.
We're together.
Okay. Bye, friends.